Well, a very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are. And welcome to our travel advisors, our past guests who have joined us for a very special virtual celebration today. Thank you for joining us as we share some AMA love with you during this very special Sip and Sail event celebrating AMA Waterways' 19th anniversary. Wow, how exciting. We look back on where our story began, celebrate our joyous return to the rivers this summer, as well as sharing some exciting news on what's in store for the future. And I have to say, the number 19 symbolizes new beginnings, and we look forward to adding exciting new chapters to our AMA Waterway story together. And we're so happy to be able to share all of this with you, of course, our loyal guests and our valued travel partners. But I have to say, this will actually be our last virtual Sip and Sail. Now that we're back on the rivers, we invite our guests to sail with us and enjoy our Sip and Sails on board. How exciting is that? And at this time, I would love to introduce you to our host for today. Of course, I'm so proud and humbled to be joined today by our inspirational leaders and co-owners, starting with the ever-sparkling co-founder and executive vice president, Christine Karst. Hello, Christine.
Hello, Alex. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So glad you're able to join us today as we are ringing in almost a new chapter in our AMA Waterways history. So looking forward to share the next hour or even more together with all of you. Thank you for your time and for your tremendous support during all these months.
Christine, it's really hard to believe that 19 years ago, right? 19 years ago was the first seed planted in starting AMA Waterways. We have so much to be thankful for and so many reasons to celebrate today. I mean, I saw pictures this morning, our first guests arriving on board in Portugal. It's a fantastic story.
And Luis, our cruise manager, he had tears in his eyes. It was like such a wonderful celebration to come together again. And I think the emotion is magical. We will never have this anymore, what we have right now. So I cannot wait to go to Europe next week and do what I want and need to do there.
But we have so much ahead of us, so many new rivers to explore, so many neat ideas to put into place. But Christine, I believe you're going to open us up today with the toast.
Before I do that, Gary, I mean, I know you need no introduction, but we'd love to introduce you.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little anxious.
Our co-owner and vice president of sales, Gary Murphy. So hi, Gary. Of course, I'm Alex Pinella, your vice president of sales. Of course, we also have a very talented group of multilingual virtual moderators. They'll be answering all of your comments and questions live throughout today's session. And of course, at the end, we will address some of your most frequently asked questions about today's event. Regardless, all of your questions will be answered. So again, thank you, moderators, for your engagement throughout today's session. And now I'll turn it over to Gary and Christine for their open remarks and welcome toast.
Christine, why don't you take it from here?
Well, Gary, I'm just still thinking about your father, Jimmy, and Rudy, and the first conversation and the first talks, and then how Rudy, in the night from June 30 to July 1st, incorporated the company, then Amadeus Waterways, now AMA Waterways. But as Alex said, the number 19 symbolizes new beginnings. And as we are looking forward to adding these new chapters to our AMA Waterways story together, I would like to raise a glass to the magic of the new beginnings, exploring new horizons and the rebirth of travel. And there is no better quote than the one that you see here: opportunity dances with those who are ready on the dance floor. And I know we are all ready, and we hope you, our travel partners, and our guests are ready to dance with us. So cheers.
Cheers. Okay, and I have to say our 19-year history is full of heartfelt moments and remarkable achievements. So let's have a quick look at some of the events that have shaped our past and allowed us to look forward to the future with optimism. So please enjoy this short video as we take you back, look back at the 19 years on the rivers.
I always have goosebumps, really, truly goosebumps. And you know, what you saw in this video is a lot of AMA firsts and our milestones as we have been leading on the rivers with so many innovations. But behind these great achievements is the heart and the soul of our company. And that is our AMA Waterways family. And for all our guests who will join us as a first, this is your family welcoming you on board and making you part of our family immediately. It's their gentle touches, their genuine approach to service, being there for you all the time. Our employees in the headquarters in Calabasas, in our offices in England and in Switzerland, or our fantastic crew members, and of course, our outstanding cruise managers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Christine. So very, very proud to be a part of this family. Now, today we have over 70 cruise managers working for AMA Waterways, but we started with a very small core group of people. And today we are lucky to have very special guests with us. We actually have 3 cruise managers who have been with us the longest. You know, ladies and gentlemen, please help me give a warm welcome filled with AMA love to Pete, Debbie, and John.
Hello. Happy birthday.
How
Thank you.
exciting. How exciting. Now,
Thanks
Pete,
for inviting us.
Pete, one of our cruise managers joining us from Austria. Pete, you've been with us for 14 years. Wow, wow, how exciting. Debbie, joining us from Germany. Debbie, you've been with us for 15 years. You practically grew up on the rivers, right? And then, of course, John has been with us for 15 years. And I understand that the three of you would like to start off with a very special toast to AMA Waterways' birthday.
That's correct.
Yes. Thanks very much, Alex. Yeah, Debbie started when she was 3, actually. She was the youngest ever. We have a toast from all of us to you. Life, like a river, is written with shallows, rapids, and bends. Both stories are best traveled with companions, family, and friends. And so here is to family and friends. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
That is wonderful.
So, Pete, I mean, Alex, do I engage the gentleman and Debbie in some conversation? Just looking back, especially at that video and where the company has come from. I'll start with Debbie. You first. Debbie, is there one moment early on in your career with AMA that really stands out?
Yes, Gary, there is one. Now that you ask. You know, when I started working with AMA Waterways, we didn't even have our own ships. We used to charter a ship. And as the fleet grew larger, and first was our dear Amadagio, and then was our dear Amalegro, the first time that I was cruising, and all of a sudden I see our sister ship coming the other way around. And I can't tell you what I felt and what we all felt. And we just, everybody, I mean, the guests, the crew, we went all out to the sun deck and we were waving and we couldn't just believe what was happening. And that for me is just one of my most important memories. It really represents from where we come from, and now being able to have such a big fleet and even sometimes dock next to each other. I mean, sometimes 2, 3 sister ships together. It's just amazing. And to be part of that growth and that evolution, it's wonderful.
I think it's really important how we grew very methodically, adding 1 or 2 ships a year. Even though the demand was even greater than that, but we really wanted to keep that family culture, that culture where the 3 of you could train some new cruise managers or having new crew on board and having the crew say this is what AMA is all about. But Pete, you must also have a fond memory.
Yeah, a quick one was actually when I went for my interview. I'd applied for the job, and I'd been, the answer had come in that I should go and meet at the Café Central in Vienna because I was in Austria at the time. I got there, of course, I'm nervous. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was working with a different company in Austria at the time, and I arrived at Café Central. I'd never been there before in my life. I'd never seen anything, and it wasn't in a day when you send a CV in with a photo of yourself. So the gentleman who is still currently my boss, Wade, I'd never seen him. He'd never seen me. We were complete strangers walking into a great big cafe in the middle of Vienna, and I had exited the tube station, and then I'd been on the train for about 4.5 hours, and I started walking up the stairs, and there was a blonde gentleman at the front of the cafe, and he said, "You must be Pete." We'd never seen each other, and I think that is it. You know, it's that touch that just reaches straight in and grabs you. You know, which it was wonderful, really an amazing time. Has been fantastic to watch the company grow.
Pete, it's great that over the 19 years that we've sort of aged together, grown old together. You too, John and Alex. But isn't it sort of strange how the ladies haven't aged at all?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
True. That's true.
I think that's good.
I think it's Debbie, right? I know, Pete, you said it earlier, Debbie was 3. I still remember, Debbie, I think you were 23, right, when you started. And one of my memories, you know, when I was cruising with you for the first time, because you live in Germany now, but you were born in Argentina. And our cruise managers have so many talents, but you actually were singing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina" one of the evenings, right? And you mesmerized everyone on board, all the guests and so on. And that's what all our cruise managers do. Everyone has their special things to do, right? There is, of course, what the company is saying, that's what you need to do, but you have your own talents. And another thing, John, when we cruised together for the very first time, right in the beginning. We had meetings, all of this. There was a very intense, hefty schedule. And then we had to go quickly back to the airport. And I left my purse on board. And you were the one grabbing it, finding it, taking a taxi, bringing it right there. And it wasn't just because I was the one. Whenever one of our guests is really leaving something on board, I know, Pete, didn't you send back the glasses of my parents from Istanbul back home? I mean, whatever could happen, you pick it up and you really please your guests and you go the extra mile. And I think that is so important for all our crew members, our cruise managers. Every team member is always spending overboard, going the extra mile so that the guests feel comfortable as much as possible.
Yeah, that happens still today. We still find all sorts of things. I know people sometimes take the wrong bag home, and then we have to phone them and say, I think inside that bag is somebody else's property, but it all works out in the end. I remember the very first cruise I did, it was the inaugural cruise on the Amadagio in 2006. And on board was yourself, Rudy, the owners also of our catering companies, of the nautical team. Everybody was on board. And in fact, sometimes I thought you were the crew. If we'd have had sails on that ship, I think you would have been pulling up the ropes there. But it was great. I thought my first cruise, meeting the owners, everybody, and they were all part of the crew on the very first cruise. And still today, we love you.
Well, interesting, John. In preparing for this call, I remember Debbie were talking about the first we did as a company, right? And one of the first we did is to carry bicycles on board. And then we saw how the guests were really going out and touring, riding from one port to the next. And then said, okay, we do guided biking programs. And then we asked you to be the guides. And Debbie, what was that like, your first experience?
Gary, we were asked to lead 30 guests for 35 kilometers.
In high heels.
Oh my God, that was one of the most amazing experiences, but that is what it made us so special. And we even get involved with these bike rides by leading them. And then, of course, it's just one of those things that are always in my memories as well. We were the first ones to have bikes. We were the first ones to have tours. I mean, we lead the way in river cruising, right? And
we have the bikes. And now we have two guides. So you used to do that all by yourself. So now we have two guides. And now the hiking. And the hiking, we have two guides. So yes, thank you for stepping up.
But it's this pioneer work and this pioneer feeling, right? When you're there from the beginning, you create all these first because no one has done it before you. So you power everything in. And then, of course, with all the ones who are joining us later, all the team members that have joined, you are the mentors because they all look up and they learn from the best. And so, of course, they continue with the best. Very proud of this.
John, share the story about our internet, because when we were preparing us, I thought it was very humorous about people wanting to share.
Yeah, in 2006, when we built our first ship, the Amadagio, we were the only ship on the river that had the internet. I didn't even know what it was, and
free internet.
Free internet, yes. And it was strange because everybody found out, all our competitors and guests and crews from other ships, and every time we docked in a city, suddenly another ship would come next to us and they'd all try and sneak our free Wi-Fi. 5 years later, we discovered we could do a code to stop them, but they still take it anyway. And even today, those of you who have been with AMA Waterways, you know that we have fantastic internet on board. So it's been a big leader. And 15, 16 years ago, we started with the internet. Amazing.
Hey, Gary.
Christine, should we ask something from the new kid on the block? Alex, you've been here only what, 4 years?
4 years.
Great blessing to us, but 4 years.
And I'm going to say, before I say, because I have some first too that I'd like to share, but Gary, is it true that we spend more money on our bandwidth for our Wi-Fi and our internet than we do to fuel our ships? That's pretty amazing.
First of all, we have very economical engines. But secondly, know you, our partners, our guests on board, it's important to stay in touch. You like to Skype, you like to share photos. And in today's world, a lot of people are actually working on their vacation, unfortunately, and they like to have that access.
You don't want to be in an internet cafe anymore, as it used to be, right? You want to be part of the show excursion. And with all the social media going on in today's days, when you come back on board our ships this year, you will be the first ones to really tell everyone, how is it post-COVID? And everyone will look at you. There are really so many opportunities right now to showcase what Europe is about, and of course, what AMA Waterways and river cruises are.
And Christine, you leave next week for Europe.
I'm leaving next week, yeah.
I leave like 3 weeks later, and Alex is leaving. So we're all can't wait to get on the ships and experience Europe welcoming us all back again.
So Gary, if I may, I must say I have major FOMO because I've only been here 4 years, so major FOMO. But my first cruise was on Amastella, and it was back in May of 2017, and I had spent a week in the office learning all the wonderful things about the company. And then you guys sent me on the Amastella for my first cruise. And my first, you know what they say, you'll never forget your first cruise. Well, my first cruise manager was John. And John, you brought everything together in such a magical, special way. And I will never forget you. You've set the bar so high. So, so honored to be here along your side as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I do talk a lot though, huh?
It's funny to be with Deb and John, because when the first training I ever did was with Debbie. She, as a 3-year-old, she taught me how to do everything except to sing. And when my parents came over to do a cruise on the Rhone, John was our cruise manager for that. And actually, my mum still talks about when she did the chicken dance with another one of my bosses, Leo, all those years ago.
Yes.
A favorite moment. Oh, is Leo still there? I love the chicken dance.
We're lucky to have each other. And okay, how many cruise managers do we have now? Is it up to 70?
70, right? Yes,
And Christine, I always like how our guests will say, "Oh, I would like to travel with Pete again," or "I'd travel with Nick again," or "I like to travel with John or Debbie again." It's hard to look. I love you guys, but we do have a great mix of cruise managers that are with you the entire way, from the beginning. If you're doing a pre-program or a post, you're with them all the way. But it's like, I have 2 daughters. What am I going to say? I like one better than the other. But it's great to have the 3 of you here and all of other cruise managers with AMA.
I think what is the same for all of you, you have a big, big heart. And that goes through the entire AMA Waterways family, the heart and the soul. And again, back to, you have been there from the beginning. You have so many stories to tell and share. And isn't river cruising all about sharing and telling stories? The same with our guests on board. Yes, we have wonderful entertainment on board, but I know so often dinner times can go until midnight because our guests love to sit together and share the stories. Now, when we begin now, post-COVID, we will have to have assigned seating, at least the first months, maybe the first 2 months, until we can all loosen up a little bit again. But, if we all do the right protocols, I think we have the greatest time together, coming together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of stories, boy, do we have a story to tell. We have been waiting for 15 months to tell this story. But before I do so, I want to remind you, because we are going to be hearing some wonderful toasts throughout today's event. And we're actually going to invite you to submit your favorite toast to us. So if you will, you can do it if you're on GoTo. In the chat or question section. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can do it under the comment section. And at the end, who knows, we may select your very special toast to share with our new extended family. So we are so excited. We are doing our happy dance around the office because we are announcing officially our restart. We're resuming sailing in Europe in just a few days from now. Actually, some of our guests have already arrived. Starting with our newest ship in Portugal, the Amadoro, following by the most luxurious ship on the Danube River, the Ama Magna. Of course, our newest ship in France, the award-winning Ama Cristina. You can also sail the Rhine River aboard the brand new Ama Siena and join us for exclusive experiences that bring you closer to the world and the people you've missed. I personally am counting the days. In 60 days, I will go on my first cruise. Again, let's start, to recount and regroup. How about you? Let's do the countdown to our restart together. Now over to Christine for some more details on our restart.
Well, Alex, it is so fantastic to see your joy and your passion, because that is what everyone has here, and we all cannot wait to go back. And that also makes AMA Waterways so special, because pretty much all the executives from our team will team up with the cruise managers on board. We will escort these first cruises. We will host you, and Alex, yes, I know yours is 60 days away, but mine is coming on July 22nd. But the day before, I welcome the passengers on board the Ama Christina on the Rhone River in Avignon. Rudi Schreiner will be on the Ama Magna. Rudi is our president. He's also, his nickname is the Godfather of river cruising, because you have seen in the video how he actually conquered the Amazon River when he was in his early 20s, building his very first river raft. And he was instrumental in all the river cruise companies that are there today. So Ama Magna, July 21st, the luxury of space, our double wide ship with staterooms. 80% of our staterooms are over 350 square feet large. So that is truly where you can stretch out 4 restaurants, 5 bars, oversized wellness center, and an incredible sun deck with a swimming pool and a jacuzzi. And I didn't even mention the spinning bikes with the view. So we still have a little bit of space left, not much, because we have to go at cap capacity. And that means about 70 to 75% and not more, which is probably good news for all of you, because you do not want to be on a full and overcrowded ship in these times. I am on July 22 at capacity, but so I added actually another one on the Ama Christina, but we have so many. We have Bronwyn joining us, our VP reservations, July 29. We have Angie, we have Jasmine, we have actually 2 questioning cruises coming up on the Rhine River. We were not pausing during pandemic. We were building 3 ships, 2 for the Rhine, Ama Siena, Ama Lucia, and I will mention later the one for Egypt. So Ama Siena will have her questioning cruise on August 26th from Amsterdam to Luxembourg, with the questioning in beautiful Lahnstein. This is where this gorgeous castle area starts, with hundreds of castles. And the Ama Lucia, the sister ship, will have her questioning cruise starting in Amsterdam on August 24, cruising. Actually, the Ama Lucia is cruising to Luxembourg. The Ama Siena is cruising to Basel. And we have Janet Barber, our Chief Marketing Officer. She is with you, John, I believe, on the Ama Siena on July 29, right? And so much really, really going on. So in 3 days, we start with the Douro. And of course, we keep all our health and safety protocols the way how the countries, how the European Union is requesting this for us. That means you will have to wear your face mask in the public areas, when you board the ship, when you move through the public spaces, but you don't have to have it when you are in the privacy of your stateroom, when you are sitting down in the lounge, in the dining room, on the sun deck, all of this. So it's really, there is not that much time where you have to wear your face covering. The crew will have the mask on all the time. So that's important for your own comfortable feeling. But again, we are all with you from the beginning to the end, and our cruise managers are there with you, no matter if you do cruise only or pre and post-land arrangements. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Gary, take it from here.
Yes, as Christine mentioned, we have the 2 christening cruises. The beautiful Ama Lucia will be christened by Riley and Will Farmer, the children of our partners of ours. Wonderful, wonderful experience, and we can't wait to welcome you on board. And the Ama Serena will cruise on the 26th, the christening cruise, and the godmother is Debbie Farino, the chief operating officer of a great partner of ours, World Travel Holdings. So we welcome you on board. Now, Christine, I would like to mention I'm also hosting a cruise on the Ama Serena on August 21st, Basel to Amsterdam, and I still do have some space if anyone would like to join us.
And the Ama Serena is a beautiful ship. Peter, are you the cruise manager?
No, I was volunteering to come though.
You always come. We know this. You are always there, and Debbie is always there. We would love to have you. So pretty much August 28 and August 29, Ama Lucia christening, Ama Siena christening, and I hope to see you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let's not forget the Ama Bella and the Ama Verde. You know, we have been working on redesigning, reimagining, and actually reintroducing these 2 beautiful ships on the Danube River, Ama Bella and Ama Verde. And we all have been waiting with excitement, so much excitement, to see these ships really come to life in their new design. And I have to say today, we have a very special message from Europe with an update. And of course, in honor of our 19th anniversary, we actually have a video that we would like to share with you. And it's a first for all of us because nobody has seen this video. So we're all going to be as surprised as you are. So please enjoy this beautiful short video on our Ama Bella and Ama Verde.
On this 19th anniversary celebration, I would like to reveal a surprise about 2 of our very special ships. Something we have been working on for months. My name is Leo Starico and I'm the art director and designer at Ama Waterways in Europe. I've been fortunate to be part of the Ama Waterways family since 2005 and I have witnessed the birth of each and every one of our ships in this continent. Last year, our naval engineer Lauren West and I were given the task to reimagine the interiors of the Ama Bella and Ama Verde. These 2 ships, which were conceived with alike features, will both be cruising the magnificent Danube River. They will meet randomly in various ports of call, such as Vienna, Budapest, among others, and share a few hours together before parting ways until they meet again. This was the inspiration to create a design concept behind the paintings featured in our reception area aboard both our vessels. Ama Bella being the romantic lady and the Ama Verde being her secret love. You can imagine their bond when you observe the art which I was fortunate enough to be able to curate and direct over the last few months. Be sure not to miss both pieces when they meet during your cruise the wonderful Danube itineraries. Ama means love, and there is more to this story to be discovered. We invite you to come aboard the romantic Ama Bella or Ama Verde starting this year and find out more about their special bond as you sail the legendary Danube River with us.
Wow. I think I have tears again in my eyes. This is so, so emotional. Leo, we love you. Leo, you are with us now for more than 16, 17 years, I believe, such a huge part of our family. And I cannot wait to see you actually soon on board the Ama Christina again. And Leo, I also know you were so instrumental in the design of our new ship, the Amadalia, on the Nile River. So dear guests, dear travel partners, this ship is in the final stage of construction right now and will have the maiden voyage on the Nile River on September 6th, starting with our pre-Cairo land program. It is the newest and will be the most luxurious ship on the Nile River. And on the next slide, we just show you a little bit of our interior design. The color scheme, very upbeat, very cheerful. So let's go to the next slide, please, here. The ship is very small, less than 80 guests, in fact, 36 staterooms only. And again, we cap capacity in the beginning that we only have a smaller group of guests on board. You see this beautiful lounge area, dining room, the sun deck. We follow our concept of our traditional ships, where we have our main restaurant and we have our chef's table restaurant. In our chef's table restaurant, we are serving a culinary tasting menu, hand-selected by our culinary director, Robert, also from Switzerland. And this is a 7-night cruise from Luxor to Aswan, returning then back to Luxor, where we have a set of amazing shore excursions planned for all of you. Some very first-timer shore excursions. We will visit a Nubian village with lunch outside. The museums, we have our final lunch actually at the Presidential Palace in Cairo. So many highlights that we will have coming this year. I guess really the best is yet to come. So let's go to the next one. This is something about Egypt, but we don't have much time.
No,
So,
yeah, actually, we're gonna turn it over now to the cruise managers, because now, you know, there's so much happening, right? So much exciting things happening with the return to the rivers this season. We have new ships, new innovations, new itineraries, of course, new destinations to explore. So Pete, Debbie, and John, as cruise managers, you must be so excited to get reunited with our guests, the crew, with the rivers. Could you share with us which of these rivers you're looking forward to returning the most? And we'll start with Pete.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I can't tell you how excited it is to have a start date that's not too far off in the future. And just quickly, we have a cruise manager network on Teams. And when one of our colleagues today, Luis, as Christine mentioned, welcomed the first guests back in I don't know how long. I think we were all writing him. He will have had 1,000 messages today. So wonderful for him, and congratulations, Luis. We hope it all goes well for you. The Seine River for me, it's a small town that you visit. It's normally on your first stop along the River Seine. Is after you've left the big city of Paris, which is everybody's favorite anyway, most visited city in Europe, is this little village of Les Andelys. And Les Andelys, to me, is a spectacular place to visit because coming from Australia, it's a very new country. So to actually be able to go up to that castle that you can see, Chateau Gaillard, to be able to touch that castle, to know that that castle is actually from Richard the Lionheart, it's just an amazing thing. Just, I think when you come from a young country to see and touch and feel, breathe in this history, which sits and lives in Europe, it really is an amazing, amazing thing to visit. And you can also see now in this picture some of the full colors that you can experience were you to book this cruise for the remainder of this year too. It really is a spectacular. Something else which is great to see and is a highlight for many, many people, and for some it's the reason that they actually book the entire cruise, is the chance to go to the Normandy beaches, of course very famous for the D-Day landings back in 1944. And with this, there's so many things to see. We offer different choices. It's such a big area to visit. You can visit UK sites and scenes, you can visit Canadian sites and scenes, you can also visit those from the US. And I think with that one, the Colville Cemetery you visit, this is a cemetery which features very heavily in the film The Saving Private Ryan. So if you've seen that film before you go, you get a chance to stand in that cemetery, surrounded by those stones, and it really hits you. You find somewhere to have a little piece of time on your own, and it's something you really take away with you. It really is a memorable experience for many, many people to visit to the Normandy beaches. We have a whole day out there, really a tremendous excursion. The capital of Normandy is also really well worth a visit. It's the city of Rouen, and this is where you could try this drink, which is in your picture, and I've got a local version of it here to toast with you, and this is French apple cider. Of course, Normandy is not the wine growing region of France, it's the apple growing region of France, and their cider is what they produce. And what I didn't understand, and friends from the UK wouldn't understand, is for all of us, we know that apple cider is alcoholic. We didn't know that a lot of people in North America have non-alcoholic apple cider. And so, of course, when they go into one of the towns and they see it on the menu and they think that'd be lovely, how refreshing, and then they find out it's nearly as strong as beer, it can change their day and their plans completely. It does go very well with the cheese, you can see in the picture too. The next of the cities to visit, the capital of Normandy, and this is the city of Rouen, really spectacular, famous for Joan of Arc. It's also got, if you're a fan of art, it does have reputedly the best art gallery in regional France. So outside the capital city of Paris, Le Beau Art, which is the art gallery there, some fantastic impressionist art. And on that topic, we do have our first trivia question for you. And so if you're following us on YouTube or on Facebook, you can put in the answers there. Also on GoToWebinar, however you're watching. You can read the question: which famous French impressionist created a series of paintings featuring the Rouen Cathedral? And you've got about 11 seconds to type in the answer for that. It could be a number of different impressionist artists, but of course, one very famous for a little garden he has up in Giverny. And the answer to that question is, of course, Claude Monet. So good luck. Hope you got it right.
Pete, if I may, Alex, Pete, I just want to point out, many people will choose an itinerary because of Paris or because of Budapest. And it's interesting how your takeaway is when your favorite is Les Andelys. It's these little towns you discover on a river cruise that often make the greatest impression.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's interesting because people, like you say, they book because of the big cities. It's the same. It's the same when you travel the Main River. You know, people love Little Miltenberg, they love Little Wertheim, but they didn't book the cruise because of that. It's like a secret gem.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Now, John, over to you. What are some of your favorite places?
Yes, I'm going to talk to you about the Dutch and Belgian waterways. Yeah. So I lived there for 10 years in both countries, and they just get better and better every year. And what I like about, I hope you return there this year, is that normally you have a lot of museums you can visit, especially in Amsterdam. You have the Rijksmuseum, you have Vincent van Gogh, you have Anne Frank House, and they can be very, very busy because the last 15 years, we've normally just offered Belgium and Holland at tulip times, which is only in April and May. But now we're going to offer it also during the summer and also this fall when it's a little bit cooler. And I guarantee you'll be able to see all the paintings and the works of art, the famous Rembrandt, the Night Watch, Vincent van Gogh. You might be able to even definitely go into Anne Frank House when in the springtime, that's nearly impossible. It's so busy. So I'm really pushing this year, going in autumn to Amsterdam, one of my favorite cities. We will be able to still do the canal cruises. We get to see all the beautiful little gabled houses. And then we move south after a few days, going via Zeeland, and we shall be going into Belgium. In Belgium, we get to see, of course, Bruges, which is called the Venice of the North, with all the beautiful gabled houses. And we'll also be able to visit Antwerp and Ghent, but probably one of the most wow factor on this new cruise, because we actually visit Brussels by ship now, when we used to drive there from Antwerp. And here we have the magnificent Grand Place in Brussels. And during the summer also, every year or two, they have a carpet of flowers in the square. It really is fantastic. And the great thing about Brussels, you have wonderful chocolates, of course. You have wonderful beer. and you have lace making. It really is very special, and also diamonds as well. Bruges is probably, for me, the most attractive city. The reason for that, it was left for about 100 years, more or less untouched. It was at its peak in the 1600s, and then they moved away from Bruges and went to Antwerp and Brussels. So therefore, Bruges was just left. And then in the last 100 years, we rediscovered it, and it's just full of gorgeous little streets. And there you will find, when I take people there, hundreds of little chocolate shops, pralines, lace making. Maybe you've heard of tapestries, Flanders. It really is such a special, special place. Take a canal boat there as well. Amsterdam can be a bit busy. In Bruges, it's really, really sweet. The trivia question. Okay, I talked a little bit about diamonds. Diamonds are on this cruise in Amsterdam and other cities, but 80% of the world's production of rough diamonds is traded in what city? In Belgium. Give you 10 seconds on this. And the answer is Antwerp. So definitely this is a place to go. If you want to go celebrate an anniversary, I'll take you to the diamond stores if you wish.
And John, can I just say, Antwerp also has a very special place in our heart for a different reason. Gary, did you just want to say this? La Strada?
No, you go ahead, Christine. You go ahead, Christine.
You know, back in 2003, our very first Tulip Time cruise that we operated, one of our guests actually saw La Strada street musicians then playing, performing in front of the cathedral in Antwerp. And the guests came back on board and said, you have to invite them on board. They should perform for all the guests. So we did. They got standing ovations from the first time. And that was the beginning of what today is the famous La Strada, because they got invited to perform the entire year, actually all these years for us, and then they had to clone themselves because other companies wanted to hire them too in all the different parts of Europe where the rivers are flowing. So that is just something where we said a family affair in the beginning, growing the same way AMA Waterways was growing. And still today, they always say, you give us the schedule first because you found us, and then come the others. So very, very proud of this.
It's a beautiful evening of classical music. It's one of the highlights of the cruise, I find, as far as evening entertainment. And it's great the way they mention it. Rudy went out and found them, invited them on board. I'm so glad you remember that story, Christine.
Thank you, Christine and Gary and John. I just love the way the cruise managers bring our destinations to life in such a special way. But now I'll turn it back over to Debbie. So Debbie, which rivers are you looking most forward to when you get back?
Well, Alex, I have to be honest, and the most I'm looking forward to are my favorite three rivers are the Rhine, the Main, and the Moselle. And it may have to do with the fact that my very first AMA Waterways cruise ever was in these rivers. Is that you know, the most beautiful memories as a child are those of my grandmother telling me stories about castles and knights and lords and dragons and princesses. And well, little did I know back then that as an adult later in life, I would be living in these places where these stories are coming from. And that's why I think that every time I go to the sun deck and I look out of the windows from the ship, and you wake up in the River Main and you're surrounded by this whimsical mist, or you're cruising through the Moselle and you see the steep slopes and the castles on the Rhine. It just really brings me back, connects me back to those days. Cruising through these three rivers is not so much about visiting the big cities, just like Pete was mentioning, but it's about the small, lovely, charming towns. It's the cobblestones that have timber houses, the fountains in every corner. It's just a magical experience. And it's not what you only see from the river, but what you experience when going into these amazing castles. I mean, we get to visit the Elves Castle. That is a highlight. I can't wait. My suitcase is ready here, waiting. I'm counting the days. My first cruise is in September, and I can't tell you how happy I am that I'm going to be sharing all of this with all of our guests coming. We are waiting for you. So please come so we can show you these beautiful places. Especially now coming into autumn, I did want to mention that is actually my favorite time of the year to cruise. Because when you see all of these landscapes, but suddenly they're turning from green to lovely golden and orange and red, and the harvest is happening and the first wines are being produced. That's such a lovely picture of the Moselle. When we stop in Cochem, we get to try this new wine, the Fährerweiser, which could be also very dangerous, just like the cider, may I mention. You drink it with, you eat it with onion cake. That's just something typical from that place. So it's not about, I always like to tell to my guests, it's not everything that what we can see, but what we can taste and what we can feel and what we can experience. That's what's so amazing. And since I am talking a lot about fairy tales, my trivia question is, which brothers coming from a small town on the Main River became some of the most famous fairy tale book writers in history? I'm sure that's a pretty easy question. I wish I could see all the answers popping in the different comments, but I will do later. And I would like to share with you now, the correct answer is the Brothers Grimm. They come from Hanover on the Main River. Okay, but I think, John, you want to talk about another river you like, right?
I do. Yes. I'd love to talk to you about the Danube River. The Danube River is, I think, the longest river in Western Europe, flowing from Germany all the way down to the Black Sea. Apparently, there's about 10 to 12 countries that it flows through. But for me, it's one of the most perfect historical rivers. It's like, it was before we crossed over to the Atlantic there, to the Americas, we all traded down the River Danube. So along the Danube, you have hundreds of little towns, many, many castles, and lots of history. And if you can join us, remember, I like to go there in the fall because of the colors. I think it's, I don't want to be rude to maybe the Amsterdam and Belgium, but definitely along the banks of the River Danube in the autumn, we have wonderful copper, red, golden brown colors, and also the villages and the bicycling. I love to be quite active on my cruises or encourage people to be active. And everyone's nodding at me, yes. I love to go up to the castles, encourage people to go on the hikes, especially in the Wachau Valley or in the Bavarian woods, and to walk up to the castles, experience the panoramic view from up there. And also we have a lot of terraces. You can see in this picture here, many terraces with wonderful wines. So cycling along by the river or on the bike trails, very, very safe, very, very scenic. The terraces, and can you imagine, this is the time of the harvest as well. So we have some of the best wines produced in Austria around the Wachau Valley, Melk. Also, when we visit Vienna, they have a lot of wine around there. And if you continue on the lower Danube, you have places like southern Hungary, Villani we can take you to. There's also Ilok in Croatia, really fantastic wines. And we are in Germany as well for a short visit. And at that time, in the autumn time, you have, of course, the Oktoberfest, the Munich Beer Festival. Everybody thinks it's only there. That's not true. They have beer festivals all over Germany, even Austria, even Hungary even tries a few. And luckily for you, we can invite you. We have a special place. You probably heard about it, Wilshofen. It's where we christen most of our ships. And we have a special tent, and the locals come and they dance for us, they play music. And at the very beginning of a cruise or the very end of a cruise, we celebrate with our own beer festival. Super, join us for that. Prost, as they say in Germany. The scenic Dachau Valley, as I told you, this is where the bicycle tracks are just next to the river and the castle's just above. And can you imagine the sunsets and the light shining on those golden copper-colored leaves? Super. Definitely a place to visit any time of the year, but in the autumn even more so. Vienna, of course, everybody loves Vienna. It can be quite busy most of the year when the Europeans are on holiday, but they all go back to work in September. And I would definitely want you to come to Vienna in September, October, November, if you like museums and art. They have over 100 museums. This is a Schönbrunn Palace, the summer palace of the Habsburgs. You have the Fine Arts Museum. You have the star of Vienna. He's called Gustav Klimt. Maybe you've heard of him. And you can see all the art, much more relaxed. Also, the opera house is reopened. It's very elegant, lots of concerts. And the horses as well. The Lipizzaner horses are back in town. At the end of the first week cruise, we stop in Budapest, or you can start in Budapest and continue down to the Black Sea. And Budapest is where I actually live. I live in Hungary, so for me, it's one of the prettiest capital cities in Europe. This is a picture of the Parliament building. You have the Széchenyi chain bridge. You have the Buda Hills. The Pest is a flat area. You have wonderful thermal spas. You have wonderful food. Perhaps you've heard of the goulash soup. Maybe you've heard of the paprika. It's just a very colorful, flamboyant city. And if you like nightlife, they do say that Budapest has the best nightlife at the moment in Europe. So come and join us on that cruise. Trivia question. As I said, it's a very long river, and we actually have 5 capital cities on the Danube cruise. But 2 of these capital cities are very close together, and about 45, 50 miles. Can you imagine what it could be? Which 2 capital cities are very close together on the Danube? And the answer is Vienna and Bratislava. Vienna is the capital of Austria, Bratislava the capital of Slovakia. On the cruise, it's about 50 miles away.
Wow, thank you, John. That was amazing. That was amazing. And the Danube, what a great destination. What a great river. What a great first-time cruisers too. So thank you for that. And with so many highlights, so many unique AMA Waterways experiences on each river, it's very hard to choose which one you're gonna go on, right? So fortunately, you don't have to, because you can actually combine several rivers in one easy journey. And you can do it so in 2021 with our European sailings in France, in Portugal, on the Danube and the Rhine, and even more. Believe it or not, if you would like to combine all of the rivers that all of our wonderful cruise managers just walked us through, we actually invite you to join us for the most epic journey in 2023, our 7-river journey through Europe. We have 3 departures, 1 in the spring, 1 in the summer, and of course, 1 in the autumn. And this is the longest and most epic river cruise. And again, debuting in 2023, they actually include 7 rivers, 14 countries, and exclusive experiences that are guaranteed to surprise and delight you as we sail some of the world's most legendary waterways. By popular demand, we now have 3 sailings in 2023. So our 7-river journeys in the spring, in the summer, and the autumn. And we look forward to welcoming you on board. So as you can see, we have something for just about everyone. Christine?
It just reminds me, I believe spring and summer are pretty much booked, sold out. Fall, we still have some space.
Oh.
But maybe we should talk about a Christmas longest journey. Christmas and winter markets, right? This part is still missing. I think I will work with Rudy on that one. Because the holiday markets we haven't shown here today, but they are coming up very soon, half of a year. And these cities and these landscapes, they are converting so much into the most beautiful areas with all these Christmas trees. There is the hot mullet wine. there are the traditions that we celebrate, and on board the same way inside as well as outside. And you know, so many families have not been able to see each other. So use the time, come together with your family on board our ships and celebrate together, and we do the work. All what we want to is for you to enjoy, and we want to pamper you. But of course, we also have our ancestry cruises. So who wants to talk about this one? I mean, I am from Germany originally. Everyone is recognizing my accent, but so many of us come from different parts of the world, and how much fun it is actually to really look after your own heritage. In this case, we have a specialized heritage on the river cruise, and that's actually on the Rhine River from July 30 till August 6 next year, 2022, escorted by Ancestry. We will really go much deeper into heritage. And I don't want to say more at this point. Lots of surprises.
Well, I think it's time for a farewell toast. So, you know, as I look back at these 19 years and the partnerships, you know, Peter, Debbie, John, the partnerships that turn into friendships. And I think we're so blessed to have each other, and our partnerships with our travel advisors, that many of them have become close friends. And of course, the guests, our clients that come on board, we wouldn't be here without all of you. So to partnerships and friendships, cheers.
Partnerships and friendships. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, partners.
Absolutely. But wait, it's not over. We actually now are going to go into our Q&A. So we have some, of course, wonderful questions, wonderful comments that we've gotten. So thank you for staying so engaged with us throughout. So our first question, I don't know how much time we have for this, but please tell us everything we need to know as first-time sailors. I love it.
I think we all can chime in something, but I think what makes river cruising so special is, you know, with oceans, you go to countries, right? On the river, you go through the countries. You never have to tender. We dock in the middle of a city, and it's easy access in and out. In half of a minute, you're physically in your stateroom on the sun deck. The ship is gliding very, very nicely, no waves. You don't get seasick or motion sick, and everything is small and personal and individual. That's my 5 cents for the first timers.
I think the access to the city, you know, I'm an early riser. I like to get up. You've heard me tell this before. I up early in the morning. I walk into town. I put my nose in the air. I find a local bakery. I get a Herald Tribune. I watch and have a coffee and watch the city just awaken. And it's just so beautiful to see them sweeping off their stoops and getting ready for the day. Then I go back on shore. I've picked out my excursions for the day. I'll have a full breakfast and go from there.
Great stuff. And my recommendation is, because again, I don't have an hour and it'll probably take me an hour, but my recommendation to our guests is reach out to your local travel advisor. They will spend hours talking to you about all the wonderful options that we have to offer. They'll take great care of you and put you on the right AMA Waterways river cruise. So next question, what do solo travelers need to know? This came to us from Facebook.
Alex, you take this one.
Huh? Me? Alex?
Alex, take this?
Sure, I'll start. So we, love, of course, our solo guests as well. We have wonderful solo programs, wonderful solo specials for you. Even when you get on board the ship as a solo, we have a reception for you. You'll meet, of course, the cruise manager. You'll have dinner with them. They'll introduce you to all the wonderful solo guests on board. You'll get to go on excursions together. And by the end of the cruise, you've established wonderful long life relationships, wonderful friendships. Again, I would strongly recommend that you reach out to your travel advisor for more details on that.
There's something really clever that we do as well too, Alex, for the solo travelers is is we have some tables in the dining room which are an odd number as opposed to an even number, so that it means that solos, that they can always join another table if they wish without worrying about not having that taking up a space for 2 people, you know. So it's it works very well.
Christine, only right now in certain departures, the solo supplement's only 25%, so they're only paying 125% for that cabin?
On many departures, Gary, absolutely. About 10 to 15% of our guests on board travel solo. And they come back year after year after year because they are really part of the family. They never have to feel alone, but of course we respect their privacy if they like to be more private, yeah? But that is also what makes river cruising so special in such a small way. Yeah, one family, one big family, no matter how you travel.
Absolutely. So here's another question. How is the weather in Amsterdam and on other rivers midsummer and in the fall?
John?
I can answer that if you want. It's strange because, well, let's not talk about global warming, but don't you feel it gets a little bit warmer in September and October than it did 30 years ago? As I do definitely feel that. And definitely much milder. If you're in the Amsterdam, Dutch, Belgium area, probably because you're closer to the sea, you might need to bring a thin jacket or even a warm jacket just in case. At night it can be a little bit cold, dropping down to around about 55, 60 sometimes at late autumn. But in general, we don't have any snow, no ice until Christmas time. If you're on the Danube, it's definitely warmer. And I live, as I said, in Hungary, and I'm wearing shorts and t-shirts still by October the 20th. No problem. So it's quite mild then. The only time it gets very cold on the Danube is 15th of December, the holiday period, and January and February when it freezes. But before then, great. It's actually warmer than it's ever been in history, I think, now in the fall.
Great. So thank you so much for your wonderful comments, for your wonderful questions. And now it's time to announce our winners. I hope we have a lot of champagne and wine or whatever we're drinking, because we have a lot of toast. We actually have like 4 of them that we'd like to share. So I'll start with the first one here. You know, and we see that, I have to say, so many wonderful toasts. I must say, we feel loved and celebrated. We are all deeply moved by all of your wonderful comments. It was really hard to choose a winner. I think everyone's a winner in our celebration, in our eyes, but I just want to highlight some of the toasts. We will be following up with you, of course, to receive your special gift from us. So here's the first one. So 19 wonderful years that have created so many AMA memories that last a lifetime. Cheers to the last 19 and for generations to come. River cruising is in your DNA and we all share your DNA. I hope I can cruise 5 more times to reach my 19th cruise with AMA Waterways. From Kathy Dowling in Facebook. Cheers.
Wow. Cheers, Cassie.
Yeah.
Here's another one.
You.
It's so clear to see why AMA has earned so much recognition over your 19 years. It's emotional seeing the love you share between one another, which reflects the love you give to all of your guests. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing where you grow over the coming years. Cheers. John Miller. Cheers.
Thank you, John. Cheers.
Cheers, John.
We have 2 more.
Alcoholic cider, Alex.
To a wonderful,
early in the day, Alex.
I know, it's early here too. To a wonderful and generous group of people who are the heart and soul of travel for everyone who loves a great adventure. Here's to you all. Rochelle, Chris, cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
We're taking very small sips, mind you. And then our last and final toast for the day, to a special number 19 and a first-time river cruiser and all the new friends to meet. Wishing everyone a safe, beautiful journey. From Susan Jarvis. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you,
Cheers,
Susan.
everyone. Thank
Cheers.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Gary,
Well, again, just looking forward to welcoming you on board. We're cruising again. So please join us. Talk to your travel advisor, our partner out there. They'll match you up with the right itinerary. And right now for 2021, we have some exceptional offers out there. So we look forward to welcoming you on board.
On behalf of our entire AMA Waterways family, thank you, thank you, thank you. We look forward to seeing you very soon. And our travel advisor partners, we could not have done the last 19 years without you. So here's to the next 19, right? All together.
All right.
And thank
Bye-bye,
you,
everyone.
Debbie,
Happy 4th of
Peter,
July.
John.
thank you. And before you leave us, please enjoy this last video that we have to share.
Yeah, and happy Canada Day as well, July 1st.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cheers,
Bye,
everyone. Thank
John.
you.
Bye, Debbie. Bye, Pete.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you soon.
See you soon.